Now we're going to move to the pricing side. Here you can see we're keeping track of the margin on a line item basis as well as from an order basis, because we all know we're going to be able, sometimes we're going to sell a bunch of things maybe at lower price than we would like, but as long as the overall order meets our standards, we're good to go. So I'm going to come into my mozzarella. This is, we talked about, there's a catch weight item. We know that they're potentially 20 pounds here, but we always buy or sell in the case. You could have this as a base unit of each. We do allow you to break the case. You can actually have a increase if you break that. As you can see here, price adjustment multiplier. So if I were to sell this by each, maybe I want to put a 10 or a 20% increase on it. But returning back to the costing and the pricing side of it, we know that this is a very important area for all of you to protect your margins. We then start with what we call is, where are we going to start with? Are we going to start with the market cost because your vendor's giving you the price every week? Maybe the last cost from a PO. So other people utilize this because the PO might be placed today, and although those items might not be received until Thursday or Friday, the pricing they want is to be done off of that PO so that, again, you're protecting your margins. We could be using average cost. And for a lot of our clients, they want to be able to protect their margins, so we give them the capabilities to do the greater of those combinations or just set up a standard sales price. So I'm going to start with my average cost, which is $1, as you can see here. And then these are what we call, and I'm sure you do too, cost adjustments. Okay, this could be your marketing cost. This could be your warehousing cost. Okay, so these are fixed dollar amounts that I say, hey, when I'm trying to figure out my price, I'm going to start with my $1, but now I got to add another 35 cents. Many of you might not want to do it, or just a combination of both. May want to do a percentage. Say, hey, I just want to add another 5% for my overhead. So now all of a sudden I'm adding another 5% to this dollar, which is the nickel. Many of you also probably import goods. We have a great system related to landed cost, allocating out freight, duty, insurance, all the types of costs that might be necessary to get your olive oil from Italy to your docks. So here you have the ability to include your landed cost. So now you get to, everybody has a different term for it. We call it the adjusted sales cost, because I'm saying, yeah, of course the PO is for $1, but ultimately it really costs me $1.40. And then off of that, I'm now saying, okay, what type of margins do I want to be able to put in to protect it? So I'm going to say 10%, or here I'm going to say 30%. And this is usually just to prevent key punch errors. Most of us would be happy to sell it at more than 30 points, but at the same time, if there's a key punch error, I do want to catch it. So now all of a sudden, I've got good control over the pricing itself. But also from the pricing standpoint, this is just a quick little user-friendly thing here. We're in the middle of an order, but what I want to do is I want to be able to take you into our pricing. So now all of a sudden it's opened up our pricing logic. So this is what we talked about earlier. Now I can set up a price just by customer, or for a customer class, or what we call a third one, which is a customer price class. So you all understand what a customer is. You know, a customer price class could be exactly this. It's a street business, it's a chain business, or it's very specific to a whole group of people. Maybe it's Domino's or somebody along those lines. So that's one way to set up this customer price class. Then once you've done that, along those hierarchies, we're doing the same thing. Inventory, an inventory class or an inventory price class, because depending on how you've set up your hierarchy of items, okay, could be any of it. So here's an example of, here's my hierarchy. This is just dairy. This is dairy, butter, margarine. This is dairy. And then ultimately it gets you down to butter. All right. So I have the capabilities to set up my pricing here and then have it cascade down, or here and cascade down, or go all the way down to my lowest level. So want to have the flexibility to do that. Then we come in here, and now that we've finally determined which group of products it's actually going to apply to, then we say, okay, how are we going to do the pricing? Am I just going to set up a price that we've all negotiated? Am I going to take that cost and add a fixed dollar amount? We've had clients that deal with cream and they sell it to Starbucks, and it costs them, whatever it costs them, it doesn't matter. They can only charge $1 over their cost because Starbucks can come in and audit them at any time. we've been talking a lot about margins. I want to protect my margins. So what is the margins I'm trying to get to? Or is it a cost plus a percentage? All right. So you've got the flexibility to set up that sort of level as well. And then the question is, do I want to include those cost or price adjustments that we had gone through previously on each one of the items? All right. So that's the type of flexibility that you're going to have. You also have the ability to run promotions so that you could have different date ranges. So you could say it's effective from January 1st of 23 until March 31st of 23. It was just a first quarter promotion, or it's just a pricing for anything, your customer or your customer class.